The evidence seems to indicate that you're watching dolly fishing.
Fingerprints of the dead, cold as stone. He's got the scoop, there's no route unknown. Dolly vision headlights, king of peace. Truth unravels, crackling through the heat. Lost soul shining, echoes in the night. Rock the truth while live on air light. Topping up, Dolly vision's dreaming real. True crime scene blast feels so unreal. YouTube madness like share, subscribe. Jack's on fire, burning the world's fire. Where's the baby missing shadows crawl? People whisper footsteps down the hall. Fingerprints of the dead, cold as stone. He's got the scoop, there's no route unknown. Dolly vision headlights, king of peace. Truth unravels, crackling through the heat. Lost soul shining, echoes in the night. Rock the truth while live on air light.
YouTube, where's the babies? Where's the babies? That is the question we are asking tonight. But there's some breaking news coming in. When I was live streaming with you guys earlier today, going over the Karen Reed case, I had an Amber Alert come through my phone. Now, you know, I have been talking a lot about how Amber Alerts need to be fixed and that there's problems with these Amber Alerts. Okay. Well, an Amber Alert went out. Instead of giving you the information on your phone, it gave you a link. Okay. So we were here and I was clicking on the link and it wasn't opening anything. All right. But here's the problem with this. This is how important these Amber Alerts are. This happened in my area, like right down the street from me. I'm getting to work. I'm putting in work right now, SomeCloud. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for your super chat. That is absolutely awesome of you. Dolly got to eat, and we're starting off good, right? Get on that Dolly train. It is the Blessed Express, the best train on the block, okay? Anyway, right down the street from me, a man, okay, now I'm not sure if it's the baby's father or the mama's boyfriend, is live streaming, walks up, shoots the woman in the face, and snatches the kid. The kid's name is Kai Foreman. Now, when I was live, I couldn't get any of this information because the Amber Alert failed. And some people are saying that it went out late, that the Amber Alert went out late. And then when it did go out, it went out as a link that didn't work. So to notify everybody, it failed. Right. So everybody in the area that could have kept an eye out or seen this kid that's been abducted. And as of right now, he hasn't been found. Now, this is one of those cases where you know there's an Amber Alert. There's an abductor. There's a vehicle. The mother's been shot in the face and killed. Right. And like I said, nobody knew what the kid looked like. Nobody knew who done it because the Amber Alert didn't work. Now, I'm going to pull this story up real fast for you guys. Hold on. Let me pull it over here so everybody can see it because this is breaking news and this man is still on the loose and he could be anywhere possibly on the East Coast right now. I don't know if he's still in Virginia, but this is actually in walking distance to my house. All right. Which is scary Because, I tell everybody, I live in the hood and it's pretty dangerous around here and you could get, you could get killed. And this is a serious situation. Make sure we have volume, guys. Let me know.
Breaking news, Virginia State Police issued an Amber Alert for a 40-year-old boy after a deadly shooting in Norfolk. Police believe 27-year-old Tylee Scott took Kai Foreman.
This was after shooting and killing a woman on East Liberty Street just before noon today. 10 on your side's Brett Hall has been on the scene since this story.
And I'll tell you how close I am. I am within walking distance to where this took place. Okay. I could walk there in about 15 minutes. Okay. It's about 15 minutes walking from my house. Driving, it's about 3 minutes up the road.
Story broke.
Brett joins us now live in Norfolk with the latest.
Regina and Ashley, the search is ongoing for 27-year-old Tylee Scott after police say he shot and killed a woman in their 20s. We have not had the identity revealed of that woman yet, but she was shot and killed right behind me here at the Sumler Terrace Apartments off East Liberty Street in Berkeley. And again, the search is urgent because they're told Scott took a 4-year-old boy with him when he left the scene. That 4-year-old being Kai Furman. Now, we do understand, or we don't understand right now, Kai Foreman, rather,
Foreman,
that
yes,
according to police,
Foreman.
Foreman was last seen with a gray and black True Religion shirt, black or blue basketball shorts, and red Crocs. Now, Scott was last seen wearing a red shirt with polka dots and jeans. It isn't known right now which direction that Scott left in. I spoke to people out here who said various different accounts. However, Police Chief Mark Talbot says the important thing right now is just finding them.
We believe that this was a targeted event. It wasn't random by any stretch of the imagination. We do believe that Tylee Scott is armed and dangerous.
Oh, no doubt. If he shot the lady in the face while he was live
the search
streaming
ongoing
it.
for Kai Foreman and Tylee Scott. If you have any information, you're asked to call Norfolk Police. You can call the crime line at the various earliest convenience. That's 1-888-LOCK-YOU-UP. Of course, you can always submit something anonymously through the P3 Tips app. We're live in the Berkeley area of Norfolk. Brett Hall, 10 on your side.
So basically, the child is missing. They haven't found him yet. According to my daughter, she called me and she was, telling me about it. She's like, did you get the Amber Alert? Did you get the Amber Alert? Because I didn't realize how close it had happened to my house. Because when I went to open the Amber Alert, it malfunctioned and sent a link. And my daughter was like, yeah, they misspelled the kid's name. They had his name up there wrong. The link didn't work. It took them a while to get the Amber Alert out. And I'm thinking, oh, man, because, this is my area. Like, you may have seen something, or somebody in this area, or just crazy. Because she said, they didn't mention it on the news, but Tiff said that the man was live streaming it when he did it. He was live on the internet, walked up and shot her in the face and grabbed the kid. Now, that we call this area the 7 cities because every city kind of borders each other really close. Like, you go down the street, 2 minutes, you're in Virginia Beach. You go this way, 2 minutes, you're in Portsmouth. You go this way, 2 minutes, you're in Chesapeake, right? So the area is really close, and they call it the 7 cities because they're kind of all in the general area of, and he could be in any of these 7 cities within a matter of minutes. So say they have the Chesapeake police out looking for him. They say the Berkeley area, Norfolk, but technically that's not Norfolk. That is Chesapeake. Liberty Street is Chesapeake. Wait, no, they're right. That part is on the border on the Norfolk side of Chesapeake. Okay. See, that's how close it is. You cross a set of tracks, you're in Chesapeake. You cross back over the tracks, you're in Norfolk. So, and the area they call it is South Norfolk because it's south of downtown Norfolk. All right. Which ain't the best area in the world. So, this little kid's missing in extreme danger because you see, they didn't say that's his father. That was what was conflicted. Like, was it his biological father, or was this the mom's boyfriend that did this? Is it his kid? You know, because if it's not his kid, that's very rare that somebody would walk up, shoot the mother in the face, and take the kid. Now, I skipped over all this, but I'm going to need you to leave your DNA on file. Just in case somebody walks up while live streaming and puts a hot one in you, I'm going to need your DNA. Okay. So I can track down your killer. I'm going to need you to give this video a like. Not funny. Prayers to the family. These are people in my community, which is absolutely horrible. But leave your DNA. If you're brand new here, sub up the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and of course, feel free to share my ugly face anywhere. Now, we need some justice for Kai Foreman's mother. All right. Now, I don't care what kind of argument or what kind of fight they were having. Nobody deserves what happened to this woman. That is tragic. And we want to make sure that we find this young man before something happens to him and this dude flips out and possibly hurts the kid and himself. Why somebody would throw their life away like this is, who knows, right? Who knows? Also, let me give my warnings. Dolly Vision's for entertainment purposes only. We talk news, rumors, gossip, speculations, theories, mixed with a little bit of comedy and a whole lot of chaos. So don't take nothing here as fact. Just my opinion, people. Completely satire. The callers tonight, because we are opening the phone lines, our opinions are theirs and theirs alone, not to reflect on Dolly. Don't get me sued, people. Also, everyone is innocent to proven guilty. For example, Daniel, Malaya, Don and Candace Wells, Katie and Chris Proudfoot. Everybody's assumed innocent to proven guilty in a court of law. And the biggest one of them all, don't try to be Dolly at home. It is dangerous. Okay. It is absolutely dangerous. You don't want to do it. Your head could explode. Okay. Your head could explode. You don't need it. Blood everywhere. Very little brains to clean up though. Very little brains. But a lot of blood, You don't want to do it. So tonight we are going to be going over the Jack and Lily Sullivan case. We're going to be going over the young girl that I've been following for the last 4 years, Summer Moon Wells. And of course, we can't leave the young man out that his whole army has abandoned him. Okay. And that is the Sebastian Rogers army. Now they're kind of like a little group. Maybe not even that. Like, you don't hear much about Sebastian Rogers anymore. Everybody's kind of forgot this young man existed, right? And he's been missing for a little over a year and a half out of the Hendersonville, Tennessee area. Home alone with his mother. Kind of like Jack and Lily Sullivan. Where do you guys want to start? Okay? Do y'all want to start with Jack and Lily and work our way to Sebastian? Or do y'all want to start with Sebastian and work our way to Jack and Lily? Which one, y'all? Which way? How y'all want to do it tonight? Okay, because I got a little bit to say about all 3 cases. And now I hate to say this, I feel that the parents are involved in all 3 cases. Now, the only case that I feel different about is the beautiful little girl you see in the middle, Summer Moon Wells. I believe a tragic accident happened to Summer Moon Wells, and Don and Candace Wells covered it up. I do not believe that they purposely hurt their kids, like I think a little bit in these other 2 cases. Okay. Summer first. Y'all want to go into Summer Moon Wells first? Okay, Summerwells. Let's do it. I'm good with going into Summerwells first because there's been some new things come out in the Moonwell case with their family, not so much with Summerwells. Okay. Well, there has been a PI that has came out and said some crazy things about a family member of Summerwells knows something. And listen, if that was the case, I think there would be an arrest. But let's just recap the Summer Moon Wells situation for all our Canadian viewers that have joined since Jack and Lily's went missing, and for some of our other Tennessee people that may not know about. Are you taking in Karen Reed calls? If you want to talk Karen Reed, you can call in to talk Karen Reed. We've got to keep it briefly, though, because I don't want to be way off topic. Summer Moon Wells, 4 years ago, vanishes from her home in Hawkins County, Tennessee. She's home with her mother, her grandmother, and her 3 brothers are inside the residence. Now, to understand this, they live in the holler, which is the mountain between 2 mountains is the holler. Okay, so they live between 2 mountains, and on that property, like I said, the 3 brothers were in the house, and the grandmother lived in a tow behind trailer that was on the property to the right of the house. So they come home from a long day adventure that hit the mother of Summerwells, Candace Bly, right, goes out swimming with a young man by the name of Hunter. And they drop the mother off because the grandmother, because she has something wrong with her knee. Some people allege that the kids kicked her in the leg. She hurt her knee. She had to go to the hospital. And she goes to the hospital, and Hunter and Summer and Candace go to the horse pond in Hawkins County, Tennessee. Now, I've been to this horse pond numerous times. It's a swimming spot that people go to. Water's kind of nasty and filled with fish hooks. I don't know why anybody would take their kid there swimming, but people, down south, they go to the pond. They go swimming in the lakes, and it ain't, they ain't all bougie and got to have a high class swimming pool. They go right to the lake. So in that time that they're at the lake, there's a little bit of video footage, and there was some talk of Summerwells going under the water for quite a few seconds. Okay. And Hunter goes out there and grabs her, picks her up out the water. And according to Hunter and Candace, Summerwells is okay. Now, just to clarify this for you, I have been in that water swimming. Okay. So I go out there, I walk out to see how deep it is, and it's not very deep. But it has a ledge. It has a drop off. And when you step over that ledge, it gets pretty deep. I mean, a good 8 to 12 foot deep. All right, because I've dove down to the bottom of it. I would say it's roughly 8 to 12 foot deep once you go off the ledge. Okay. Zach said it drops off. Absolutely. Okay. So it drops off to about 8, 12 feet in certain spots once you get past the drop off. Now, from my understanding, I don't know if Summer knew how to swim or whatever, but they say Summer was okay. Now, they get in the car, and they say that Summerwells is cold, so they change Summerwells into a tracksuit. Now, Tennessee, that time of the year, very, very hot. It was in the high 80s that day. Not like it was 100 degrees or 90 degrees, but in a car on an 80-degree day, temperatures can easily reach up to 120 degrees. And children don't take as long to have heat stroke as an adult. It's a lot quicker. Their body temperature raises faster than a normal person. And I say that because I truly believe that Summerwells may have had a heat stroke, but we're going to get to that. Okay. So they leave this pond and they go to a Sonic, which is right across. First, they go to a Walgreens. They pick up Grandis's medicine. Then they go to a Sonic. Now, the Sonic's important because I also went to the Sonic to see where the cameras were at the Sonic. And this Sonic is the last place they had proof of life for Summerwells, that she was alive and she was in the vehicle. Okay. And this is after the water hole. They go get slushies. So at this point, Summerwells is alive. They leave there and they go to Hunter's house. Okay. Hunter gets out the car, goes in the house. Candace gets out the vehicle, goes up and talks to Allie. Rest in peace to Allie. She has passed away since this has all happened. And, I have met Allie and she was pretty nice to me. I have nothing bad to say about the woman. But Allie, when she was alive, said that, she went to the car and Summer appeared to be in the car asleep. Okay. And Candace wouldn't let her wake her up. So they drop Hunter off. They drive back to the mountain, but on the way there, they stop at a grocery store. Before they drop Hunter off, they stop at the grocery store. I missed that. I skipped it. Thank you. Thank you, country girl Sammy. They go to the grocery store. They buy the milk. This is where the famous milk pitcher comes into play. Okay, they buy this milk. Hunter says they're sitting in the car for an hour or so. And he changed the story. At one point, he said it was hot. At one point, he said it wasn't hot. He's kind of been all over the place. He's a little bit of a riff-raff young man at this point. He didn't have the best upbringing. He's kind of a crook. Now, his daddy, you ain't gonna say much about his daddy, but for anybody that's been following the internet, y'all know about his daddy, right? Andrew, they call him Pandrew. Okay, he's a weird one. He's a weird one. But okay, they go to the grocery store, they drop him off, they leave, they go back to the hill. Candace says she gets Summer out the vehicle, and they go plant flowers with Grandis, the grandmother, because Grandis, his name is Candace too, so they just call her Grandis. Everybody's named Candace in their family. So I don't know, a family thing. So at some point, Summer wants to go back in the house. So Candace walks Summer to the house. All right. And then she goes back over to help with Grandis's knee brace. Okay. So shortly after this, Candace goes back to the house and says she asked the boys where Summer was. And they said, well, we believe she's downstairs. Some people call this place the dungeon. Right, but it's the basement of the home. I have been in the home. I have been in the dungeon. Okay, that people call it. But when I went there, it was after the fact, and everything had been cleaned up. So when I got into the dungeon, there was nothing in it. It was empty, and it had just been painted. Right. So she goes down into the dungeon or the basement, whatever you want to call it, and she says Summer's not there. She runs outside. She starts looking around. She panics, calls Don Wells. They get on this three-way call. Listen to how common some of these stories are that we're going to talk about tonight. That three-way call is to the police. And, of course, Don is on his way home from work. But there's conflicting stories because Hunter says that Candace, while they were together, allegedly, some people believe they were sleeping together. There was rumors from a man that passed away named Jose that was staying at the house, said that Hunter and Candace were sleeping together. Okay, they had a physical relationship. Now, I've asked these questions and nobody really wanted to answer them for me, but Candace personally herself told me that, he was like a party friend, that he was already drinking and smoking. So when she bought him the drinks at the water pond, she didn't think nothing of it because his mama allowed him to drink. Okay. So she bought him a drink and she said they were just homies, like buddies, like friends. That's what Candace told me. Okay. That she wasn't sleeping with them, that they were just friends. But the rumors were flying that Candace was sleeping with this boy. And these rumors came from Jose, who passed away in a homeless encampment in California. Okay, that's what happened to Jose, for anybody that wants to know. So at that point, Summer is gone. They believe somebody had snatched her and took her down the dog trail. And 4 years have gone by. There's been no sightings of Summer, no solid leads for Summerwells, no nothing. And Summerwells is what got me into true crime. I wasn't a true crime YouTuber. 347 likes. We got to get those likes up, guys, right? There's 838 of you here. We got to get those likes up. Hit the like real quick so I don't gonna sound like a used car salesman and say it 1,000 times. Just go ahead and smash that like button for me. And then once you do, I want you to shout out in the chat room where you're watching from. Don't cheat. Hit the like button first. So 4 years go by, and this case turns into a huge circus, right? Now, Dolly knew nothing about it. I was covering the Gabby Petito case, and because I was building a van to drive across the country, not that I was a true crime creator, the only reason I was covering it is because I was in the process of doing the same thing. I wanted to travel to these national parks and things like that because I didn't fly. So the interest was in these people because I was in the process of the van life stuff. And person by the name of Stony Stone came in here. Some of y'all may know Stony Stone from the chat room. And he said, Dolly, have you ever heard of a case about a little girl named Summerwells? And I was like, nah, I never heard of it. He's like, man, tell you now, it's the craziest stuff you ever heard. You ain't going to believe it. You need to check it out. Okay. And what Stony Stone did that night was he planted the seed. Okay. Because I didn't instantly check out Summerwells or anything like that. I wasn't even thinking about going down this true crime path that I'm on right now. And this has been 4 years. And how that one statement from somebody in the chat room changed my whole life. Okay. It's hard to believe that something like this could change your whole life, but it did. Just that statement he said changed my whole life. And I'll tell you why. A few days later, I was sitting around bored, and for some reason, the name Summerwells popped in my head in the middle of the night, just sitting around watching TV, flipping through TV. And I said, well, you know what? Let me check out this case that this guy mentioned. Because at that time, I didn't really know Stony Stone. He was just somebody that called into the random call-in show, right? And said something. And that one call changed my life. So I turn on the Summerwells case, and I see the most saddest story I've ever heard in my life, right? And I'm watching this stuff, and I'm watching all the chaos that's in it, and I just can't believe it. And I thought to myself sitting there, what can I do to help? I'm only one person, right? What can one person really do to help these missing kids? And at the time, it was just Summerwells. It wasn't kids yet. Right now, I try to help a bunch of different missing people. But at the time, my only goal was, what can I do to help this family, this little girl? And that's where I fell into the rabbit hole. Okay, the Summerwells rabbit hole. Next thing you know, I'm on 110 Ben Hill Road in Tennessee, and never been to Tennessee in my life. It grabbed my heart and just said, it kind of squeezed it, right? And I felt so bad for this little girl. And I can't think of a news story that has ever touched me the way the Summerwells case did my heart. It just literally broke my heart. And I wanted to do something to help. I just didn't know what. I didn't know how. I didn't know, could one person really make a difference in a case, right? So, Dolly, you're making me cry. No, it's true. This is a true story. This is part of my life, right? So I end up going to Ben Hill Road, searching the hollers and just sleuthing around to see what I could figure out. And basically, this was the birth of this channel. Okay, this is how this channel came to be. So, and then, over time, I start to investigate more and more. And myself, I come to the conclusion that something tragic had happened to Summerwells, and Don and Candace were covering it up. And since then, I had you search multiple times, met with the family, put up big banners for Summerwells, through the prayer vigil, I think it was the 2-year one that I did, right? 2 years. Yeah, I think it was the second year. We did the vigil outside of the jail when Don Wells was in jail. So it just, I don't know. I got sucked into this world that I wasn't really a part of at that time, right? I didn't know nothing about true. I was into true crime, right? I watched True Crime, Next 48, all the crime shows on TV, but I wasn't into talking true crime on YouTube. Then everything changed. Then once I helped that got involved in the first case, it led me to Michael Monkey Vaughn. Okay, meeting with Brandy, the mother, and then from there it led me to Savannah, Georgia, to the Quentin Simon stuff, and then so on, and case after case after case later. But 4 years have gone by, and there's no Summerwells. And recently, Don and Candace Wells said they've come out and they've been cleared by the CPS of any abuse, right? That they didn't abuse the kids. Now, here's the thing. When I met with Don, a lot of people didn't like me for saying this. That they when they showed their photo album to me when I was sitting in their house, they looked like a happy family. But, every time you take a photo is usually when everything's good. People don't take, when everything's going bad, they don't break out a camera and take a picture. usually the good times they take pictures of, and they had so many beautiful pictures of little Summerwells that they've never shared on the internet. And Candace told me, she said, these are my memories. Every time I put out a picture of Summerwells, people criticize it and say she's dirty or she got bruises or she's dead on the milk crates, right? Because that video was released by Candace. So Candace made it out to be like she's damned if she does, and she's damned if she don't. And I reported honestly on the case. I could have went there and said, well, yeah, they're terrible people. I think they're murderers. I didn't get that vibe from Don and Candace. Did I get the vibe that they would cover something up, that they experienced some type of tragedy? I did, right? They had some regret in them. I could tell, like, I don't know what it was, decision making, or they did something. They just have a different type of pain that they carry, right? I wouldn't want to be them. And like, I honestly, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, I don't think Don and Candace are killers. I don't. I believe they were drug addicts and alcoholics, and they panicked and they had a decision, do the right thing or do the wrong thing. And they chose to do the wrong thing because they thought they were going to get in trouble. And they may have, but ever since then, they speak in Summerwells in past tense. They say she's not with us anymore. And you would think most parents would want to keep hope together that if the kid's out there somewhere, but not really Don and Candace. And Candace is not emotionless. Okay. A lot of these people in these cases are emotionless. Katie Proudfoot, emotionless. Okay. She tries to fake it, but I don't think she does a very good job. Malaya, emotionless. Candace, she shows her emotions. She can go from mad, happy, laughing, to bawling out crying. She'll show you all those emotions, right? In one day of sitting with Candace, I seen her laugh, I seen her cry, I seen her be playful. Candace is almost like hanging out.
Busting my SC in half.
Busting your SC in half. It's almost like hanging out with a teenager. Okay. I don't know if her mentality got stunted at some point in her life, but she's caught in this. I'm not like a super adult person. She still kind of carries herself like a young teenager, even though she's fucking 40 some years old, right? So I still believe the same thing I believe today, that something tragically happened and they covered it up and they know what happened this summer. The thing is this, they didn't abuse the kids. And Don is talking about getting Josie back. Josie, their son, is up for adoption, right? Did I say that right? Adoption. They had him on a commercial like he was a puppy dog looking for his forever home. Now, I don't know if Don and Candace will ever get those kids back. From my understanding, they lost full custody of the kids and they're never getting the kids back. All right. So they act like, since, DCSC or CPS have cleared them of any abuse, that they're not responsible for Summerwells. That's how they're trying to spin it. Like, okay, see, we didn't have no abuse, so we couldn't have killed some, we couldn't have did nothing in summer. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. Right? I never thought they purposely did something, but I think they know the whereabouts of Summerwells. And they've been holding that in for the last 4 years. Now, I don't know if they should write it down in a note, and then so when they're on their deathbed, they can hand it to somebody and, let us know really what happened to Summer. But I've gotten to the point where I feel like we're never going to find her. I haven't given up. I was just down in Tennessee not too long ago searching Hawkins County again by drone and through fields looking for Summerwells. This is the child I have the hardest time with, is because this is the child that got me here talking to you guys tonight. If it wasn't for Summerwells, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. I would have never covered the Sebastian Rogers case. I might not have never covered Jack and Lily. Right? So out of all these kids out here, trust me, I want them all found. But there ain't no more. The day something breaks in the Summerwells case, I am going to celebrate it to the fullest, because I truly want answers for this little girl. And I can, I never thought it would go this long. I truly didn't. I was like, okay, somebody's going to talk. These people are kind of dysfunctional. They drink and fight, and they're going to get mad at each other, and somebody's going to tell it. We're going to find this child. Not the case, right? And what it is they're dysfunctional, but Don and Candace, they truly love each other. It's in a weird, crazy, effed up way. They are ride or die together. Maybe this tragedy is like, they know if they go their separate ways, somebody's going to tell, and it keeps them together. I mean, I don't completely know. And they had to live with this tragedy too, because I do believe that they love their kids in an effed up kind of way. Not that they were great parents. They were probably horrible damn parents, but that don't mean they didn't love their kids. They were just more concerned about drinking and partying and things like that. But if you sit there and talk to them about their kids, you can see they love their kids. And that's what made me think they didn't hurt Summer. Okay. A lot of people think they did, and they purposely did it. And Don was essaying Summer, and he hit her. I never believed that stuff. I was just like, no, especially after I met him. I was like, nah, there's something else that happened, and it's a terrible tragedy, and they've covered it up. Now, like I said, the kid's up for adoption. I believe 2 of the boys have already been adopted. The oldest one is up for adoption. And like I said, they made a commercial for him. And to me, listen, I want the boy to live a happy life. Don't get me wrong. But it reminded me of that, what is her name? Sarah McLachlan. In the eyes of an angel. You know what I'm talking about? And they got the dogs in the cages, and the dogs are shaking like my little chihuahua. And it reminded me of something like that. Okay. I was like, holy shit, when did they start making them? I'm thinking I'm going to be paying $19.99 a month to sponsor damn, the Wells boy by the commercial, right? I'm like, what is the point of this commercial? And it's like, to adopt him out. He's looking for his forever home. I've never heard that in a kid. I only heard that in pets, like you see a beagle and there's like, yeah, we're looking for its forever home, right? Yes, I hate that commercial. And it would just kind of blew my mind. But now you got Don and Candace talking about they're going to get their boy back. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think you're getting your boy back. Just because the CPS 4 years later came out and said you didn't do it, that you're not abusive of the kids, don't mean that you don't know where Summerwells is at. Okay? And of course, they had never been cleared as suspects. Never in 4 years. Ronnie Lawson down there and the head investigators, Pruitt in Hawkins County, they've never cleared them. And they've made it clear that they suspect the parents of Summerwells. No arrest, right? Them backwoods of Tennessee, they don't lock you up, right? I don't know what the hell is going. Tennessee is kind of like Nova Scotia. Okay, we got Sebastian Rogers went missing, home alone with his mother, quite kind of like Summerwells and Jack and Lily Sullivan. All these kids, you know what they have in common? They all went missing with their mother home with them. All of them. All 3 of them. Now, you would think you're the safest around your mom, right? You're going to be the safest. Not Sebastian Rogers. Apparently Sebastian had a great day. February 26th of 2020. 24, right? Am I right? 24. He has no problem, nothing going on in the home, lives in a $700,000, I say $800,000 house, way nicer than shit I live in, right? I mean, just blows it out the water. Their garage is nicer than my house, right? So he lives in his nice house, you would think be beautiful, happy home, and he just vanishes without a trace. Boom, gone. No sightings, no clues, no signs of foul play. Almost like Jack and Lily. No signs of foul play. Home alone with the mother. The mother, I don't know what to say about Katie other than that it didn't seem to be, she wasn't the most concerned parent out there. And some people would say she Joe Dirted the kid. And if you ain't familiar with Joe Dirting is, Joe Dirt is where you abandon your kid and leave. That's basically from the movie. They abandoned Joe Dirt, left him somewhere to stand, and then they ran, jumped in the car, and left him. They basically Joe Dirted him. And that's where the term has came from. Basically, you know, when the kid goes missing, Katie decides that she's going to go to the damn Mississippi and stay at the campground with her husband. And at this time, there wasn't no threat of Katie from YouTubers or crowds or anything like this. She just chose to leave. She, in the beginning, was talking to news reporters, and she started giving, you know, inconsistent statements. And then once she heard what the internet was saying about her, she completely shut down. But you know who shut down faster than Katie? Malaya. Okay, Malaya shut down quicker than anybody. She gave one interview, didn't drop a half a tear, and hasn't said anything and lawyered up. Now, Katie allegedly didn't do that. She shut up and she didn't talk for one full year. Okay, a year goes by and she comes back out and she starts talking to the media, not the YouTubers. I don't blame her. Okay, but a year goes by, she comes out and she talks to the media. Now, listen, I know people handle tragedies different, but for us normal people, I say normal people, I would freak out if anything happens to my child, right? She's grown and I would still flip out. Like, I just got off the phone with her before I went live with you. I talk to her every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and she's grown, you know? But I know I would lose my shit. And I'd be begging and pleading and being on every news channel. I mean, I would do everything I could for the return of my child. I would give everything I have in this world for my child. You know, like, and we look at the situations like Malaya and there's no reward for the Sullivan kids. Summerwells, there was a pretty large reward. It got up to $80,000. Okay. Sebastian Rogers, the FBI is offering $50,000. Now, there's some other clowns in town that offered, said the reward was $400. Whoever believed that, and whoever believed Dog the Bounty Hunter was going to kick in doors and make citizens of us.
How bad is jail or prison if Karen goes?
How bad is jail or prison if Karen goes? I think she's going to prison tomorrow. To be honest, I don't want to get too off topic. I'll touch in on it real fast. This is true crime. Karen Reed, they're deliberating now. If they would have thought she was innocent, they would already found her innocent. So there's only two options right now in the Karen Reed case. They're even deciding what to charge her with between manslaughter and murder too, or there's a hung jury. Now, the rumor is this. If this ends in a hung jury, they're not going to stop going after her. And they're already saying Karen Reed can't afford a third trial, right? And I don't know how the state could either, right? Because I think if they don't get her this time, they're going to drop it, okay? Leave it alone and not prosecute. But according to the family, the O'Keefes and other people in the scene around there, they're saying even if they end up in a hung jury, they will try her for the third time. I don't know how that would work, but that's the rumors. So there's only two options. They either deciding innocence off the table. If she was innocent, they would have found her innocent today. It's either they're deliberating on the charges or they're hung up on the trial. But Karen Reed is in a world of trouble. Even if she ends in a hung jury, she has civil trials coming right after this. The O'Keefes are suing her. And we've seen in the O.J. Simpson trial how that kind of went. O.J. was acquitted, said he didn't do it, but he was still found guilty in a civil trial and sued for millions. And this is what's going to happen to Karen Reed. And in her mind, she believes she's a rock star and she's untouchable. We're going to find out. Okay, we're definitely going to find out. And most likely tomorrow, I will be here with you live for Verdict Watch tomorrow. All right, so if you are into that case, you're more than welcome to join me. Now, we've touched in on Summer. We've touched in on Sebastian. I'm going to wrap back around to all these kids. But I want to get into the Jack and Lily Sullivan case because this is the biggest one right now. A lot of people in Canada, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, everywhere is really into this case. And I'm glad that there's been some action in this, especially on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube, right? Because if it was up to local media in the States, we wouldn't even know who Jack and Lily were. All right. No real good media coverage at all. No national United States media cover, and not very much national attention in Canada. Now, of course, they're showing it there where they're at in their surrounding areas, but not all over Canada. It's not really a big deal. How can you have two beautiful kids go missing and it not be a big deal? Right? And then the parents are not turning it into a big deal. You got to make a big deal out of this. You want people to know about your kids because quickly people will stop talking about your children. The case will go cold. Look at Sebastian Rogers, right? Before Jack and Lily went missing, everybody said, man, we will never leave. We're Sebastian Army. We're going to make blah, 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 blah. Now look at it. Right. And I told you this was coming. Right. And that's why I feel so bad for Seth. Vincent, thank you so much for gifting that. And welcome to the Dolly train. Get you a nice seat with a window. Dolly got to eat. And you guys are feeding me tonight. I appreciate it. It's like you going to the zoo and y'all breaking me off a couple crumbs. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a cage like in the eyes of an angel. I'm going to start shaking and shit. Right. Like, feed me, Seymour, feed me. Right. A huge case to me, right? In the States, if these two kids would have went missing in the United States, this shit would have been a huge deal, major. But since it's Canada, the United States don't seem to give a damn, right? Our media don't care about what happens in Canada.
About jail life living conditions.
Oh, you curious about jail life living conditions? It sucks. Two things you got to get used to: trays and taking a shit in front of people. Okay. If you can deal with those two things, jail is a piece of cake, okay? Just getting used to using the bathroom and people holding a conversation with you while you trying to take a dump. I know that sounds graphic, but it's the weirdest thing ever. You trying to use the bathroom and somebody's trying to hold a full-blown conversation with you. And then and you got to get used to this. Put some water on it. And if you don't know what that means, I'll explain it to you. So when you're using the bathroom, you can't let it sit because it stinks up the cell. So as you plump, you gotta flush every like 10 seconds or so so it sucks down what's in the toilet so you don't stink up the cell. And of course the food is horrible, right? And we know you're a resident in the Karen Reed stuff. Karen Reed is used to eating at 5-star restaurants. Can you imagine going from 5-star restaurants to bologna sandwiches? And not even real bologna. I ain't talking Oscar Mayer all beef bologna. I'm talking about chicken lips. It's close to the potty meat is better. You know what potty meat is? A little spread. Some people hate it, right? Believe it or not, I like it on crackers. I put it right on a cracker and eat it, right? But some people think it's the grossest shit in the world. I put it on a cracker with a little bit of cheese whiz and eat it like it's a 5-star gourmet meal. It don't bother me none, right? I don't know why some people just think it's nasty as hell, but I'll eat it, right? But what I'm saying is that I think potted meat is better than the damn jail bologna, chicken lips, right? I'd rather eat the chicken lips. That's me though, right? I'm weird like that. But it's bad. Nobody wants to go to jail. And here's the thing is in these cases that we're talking about, there should be arrest. A lot of these people's families that we're talking about tonight, I believe should be in jail. Listen, there was neglect in all these cases. Now we can probably skip Sebastian, right? Sebastian, he lived in an $800,000 house. He was old enough to watch himself, okay, because he was 15 on the verge of 16 years old. That's why there's no child neglect charges, I believe, because he was old enough to watch himself. Katie could have left him there and he would have been no charges because he was at an age that he could watch himself. Summerwells wasn't. Jack and Lily definitely wasn't. So in these cases, I could say, well, you know, Don and Candace, they could have been in jail for neglect because they wasn't watching the kids. And definitely Daniel and Malaya, right? They should be in jail right now, especially Malaya, because I thought, you know, they're not arresting Malaya because they want to keep her talking. They want to keep her cooperating with the police. But now she's lawyered up. Okay. She's got a lawyer. She's not speaking with media. She's not speaking with the police that we know of publicly. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Publicly, we don't know if she's speaking with the police. And now we got a situation where Daniel has lost custody of Meadow. The only time he can see her is with supervised visits from the CPS. Now, I believe they should charge Malaya and Daniel with criminal child neglect. Now, I'm not 100% positive on how Canadian laws work, but everybody tells me it's pretty similar when it comes to CPS here in the States. If you don't watch your kids, your ass goes to jail. It's criminal child neglect. Now, if she's lawyered up anyway, why not go ahead and hit her with the child neglect charges? Hit Daniel with them, separate them, get them talking. You know, Daniel did take a lie detector's test, but did Malaya? You know she didn't because she has a lawyer. So, and they flew somebody in for Daniel because, you know, they don't use lie detector tests in court in Canada. And we don't use them here in the United States. You know why? Because they're bullshit. Okay? They're bullshit and people can pass them. And I don't believe Daniel and I don't believe Malaya. I mean, I believe that the RCMP did a pretty good job of searching these woods. 9 kilometers, over 5 miles for us Americans. They searched over 5 miles radius of that house, the coverts, the back streets, under the house, in the walls, everything they could do to search for these kids, down the pipeline, in the woods. Nothing. Okay? Not one sighting, nothing on video on trail cam or Ring doorbell cameras. Nothing. Okay? They got nothing. There's no signs of abduction. Okay. You know, we got to think about this. You know, kidnapping's possible, but these kids got to be out the house. And according to Daniel and Malaya, they would have only been outside for a short period of time. And a kidnapper would have just had to be there waiting in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia. You got better odds of winning the lottery than them kids going missing like that from an abductor that didn't know when they were going to be outside the house. So just a kidnapper's just waiting like, oh man, they might be out any time now. That didn't happen. Them kids wasn't kidnapped. Them kids didn't go into the woods. And there was at least 3 people home with them that day. Their mother, Daniel, and Daniel's mother. Daniel's mother has never came out and said anything to anybody. No statements, not to the public, maybe to the police, right? And I believe that house, that trailer, which looks like a meth lab, holds some dirty, dark secrets, okay? I truly believe that some things are going on at home and there was domestic situations going on that we don't know about. Same thing in the Sebastian Rogers case. They act like everything was perfect in the home. To me, that's the first red flag. No home is perfect, right? No home. There's always something, right? And when people make it out to be like, oh, yeah, you know, that's one of the biggest red flags to me. When oh, it's so good here, we can't believe, that's the first bell that goes off. Ding! I don't believe that shit. I believe there's domestic situations that were going on in Sebastian Rogers' home between Chris and Katie. I think their marriage was on the verge, on the rocks for some reason. We don't really know why, but it appears that it was a little shaken up, and they don't go into very much detail of their personal relationship, so you don't really know what was going on in that house, what people were arguing about, and what people were saying. We learned that they were trying to put Sebastian Rogers in a home, so everything wasn't perfect, right? But when they came out, when he went missing, they painted a story like everything was a perfect life, but really it wasn't. It just took a while for that to come out. Now in the Malaya Daniel case, they made it out to be like everything in that house was perfect too. Now we're finding out that wasn't necessarily the case. According to some of these messages coming out that allegedly from Daniel, that Malaya didn't do much with the kids, that he potty trained them, that they came to him for everything. He's the one that took them outside. And it sounded like this mother had some disconnect with her kids. Now, how happy of a home is that? If I tell people all the time, you can live in a mansion, and if there's no love, that's just a house. To be a home, there needs to be some love environment for it to be a home. Okay. What's up, Fire? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. But without that love, you just got a house. Once you add a little bit of love to that place, then you have a home. In this situation, like, I don't know if RCMP is ever going to make an arrest in this, because when people go missing in these areas like Hawkinsville, Tennessee, Hendersonville, Tennessee, Peekdo County, just basically in the middle of fucking nowhere, there's so many places to hide a child or a person. There's some places you don't go getting slick with the tongue because you may come up missing. Like I was in the backwoods of Indiana one time, and we broke down. It's like a horror movie. The band was touring. I was sleeping, and I didn't even know they had rednecks in Indiana. Didn't even know it. I thought that was a Southern thing, right? And we got some dudes working on the vehicle, the trailer that's towing the band equipment, and they straight out of the hills have eyes, right? I said something, right? Oh, the guy was cutting a bolt off the trailer, okay? And I just said, hey, you cutting that bolt off? And he was like, you ain't no damn genius, are you, boy? Or he said something to me, and I took it disrespectful. And I just woke up, right? And I was just like, who the fuck does this dude think he's talking to, right? And I went to say something, and my buddy grabs me. He said, look, Jimmy, we in the middle of nowhere. Like, the hills have eyes nowhere. And he goes, and these are only mechanics around for like a couple 100 miles, right? So we need these people. Don't say nothing smart. So back then I smoked. So I was like, okay, so I walk off into the woods like a horror movie, the smoke, right? Because I'm about to snap on this dude that said something crazy to me. And okay, so I come back and I walk into the shop because I guess they're getting the receipt. Everything's fixed. And when I walk in, the dude says something about, oh, there's the genius right there. And I did everything I could not to say nothing. Everybody's grabbed me like, look, they know I'm about to say something crazy and get us all in the chili. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they do in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When they chop your ass up, they put you in the chili. So there's just some places you don't want to get smart because you will end up missing. There's nobody around for hundreds of miles. Ain't nobody going to know what rock they hid your body up under. They ain't going to be looking there, right? And these people know the area. Like Daniel and his brother, they know those woods. They know those woods better than every searcher out there. You see, they got a four-wheeler, right? Clean ass four-wheeler too. They done been down every trail, everywhere, all in those woods near that pipeline, them cabins. They know every inch of those woods. and the searchers don't. Okay, they're out there every day hunting, fishing, riding their four-wheelers, so they know where to hide somebody where they're not going to find you. Okay, especially if you're familiar with the area and other
I
people
can't do
ain't.
anymore.
Well, thank you, Suncloud. Okay, you've done plenty. You've done way enough. Thank you for being on the Dolly train with us tonight. That is awesome. So, to me, these people have some explaining to do still in all three of these cases. Now, I'm going to open up the phone lines, right? I usually talk for an hour and then I open up the phone line, start taking your calls. And we're going to tap in on all three cases tonight. Even if you want to say something about Karen Reed, because I see a lot of people asking about Karen Reed. So if you want to discuss Karen Reed a little tiny bit, I will. But let's try to keep it on track of missing kids. And I guess we'll throw Karen Reed in there since you guys seem to be so interested tonight. Give me 1 second. Let me open up the phone lines. Oh, wait a minute. I did something wrong. Okay. Why am I not signed in? Okay, I'm signed in now. Give me 1 second. I will throw the call-in number on the screen. Banners. Okay, here we go. The call-in number is 757-797-694. Dolly.
Call-in number 757-797-694.
Hello. You got to turn me down in the background.
Hello?
Hey.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
You do. I just got to turn down the.
Okay, you're breaking up just a little tiny bit too. So.
Oh, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm just a guy who lives around 5 kilometers away from where this incident happened.
Okay, you say 5 kilometers away?
About 5 kilometers away. I live in Pleasant Valley.
Okay, all right. So, what do you think about the whole situation with Jack and Lily?
My whole situation is, well, locally, here as a local resident, a lot of people think now that the kids might have been sold.
Sold?
Sold.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's kind of it's just this last ditch effort because I know the family very well. I know Daniel. I know everyone else. I know Daniel very well from middle school.
Okay.
And he is not a person who would lie to me or tell me anything else that way. You can even look me up on Facebook, everything else. But it's unusual. And even I have a couple friends down that way, down in Lansdowne. I'm not very far from them. But it doesn't feel like an abduction. It feels like it feels like two things from people I've been talking to locally. Either one of the kids or both of the kids got into a drug stash or something else and they passed away.
I've heard that too. I've heard that rumor.
And that they were put away or put down into a well and all that kind of stuff. And which is unfortunate. But the second one was that they possibly could have been sold for money. I apologize about that, but I am a local resident. I'm literally like 5-minute drive away from that area. So
yeah. So when's the last time you've talked to Daniel? Have you talked to him since the kids have been missing?
No, he's impossible to get a hold of. Literally impossible to get a hold of. Like he's been getting so many messages from everybody else. My good friend, he has contacted him, but Daniel doesn't want to share too much.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
I mean, how is the drug problems there where you're at? Is it a lot of drugs in that area?
Oh, there's lots of drugs in the area. Lots of, well, the main thing here is meth.
Meth.
Meth
Okay.
and heroin.
Yeah.
Meth and heroin is the big one.
I think that's the big one everywhere right now is meth and heroin. Epidemic is taking over. It's killing a lot of people. Destroying a lot of families.
It's killing everybody. Well, especially when they're lacing everything with fentanyl too.
Yeah.
Lots of people died locally too, and a lot of people are homeless here, and they don't make a whole lot of money here locally. We are a poor county in Nova Scotia. We don't make a whole lot of money, and the odd jobs that we do get doesn't make a whole lot of money to sustain a family unless you have a good education or good working ethic.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate.
So the majority of people you think there in that area think they sold the kids. So you would think the majority of people in that surrounding area think the parents have something to do with it?
Yes, there is a possibility. I don't think Daniel had anything to do with it. I don't think the mother had anything to do with it. I think someone else had the bad means of doing something with them. Which is unfortunate, which something I've been trying to tell people and explain to people, that maybe it was just a bad thing at the wrong time.
Now, I know
that someone was trying to take advantage of their kids. And then this boom, it was this instant. And if you want to talk more, I don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is this is, could it be somebody about that party? Did you ever hear rumors of them having a party before that? Now, I know Daniel has came out and denied there ever being a party there, but do you know anything about their house being a party house or anything like that?
Oh yes. I've heard their house was kind of a party house, and I heard that they had a party the night before. That's what I know for sure, because I live here locally. Like, I'm just a few minutes down the road. I knew exactly where their house is.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. So
okay.
It's just kind of me trying to figure out what else is going on too. Like, I worry about those two kids, or just two young kids. And anyway, do you have any more questions for me?
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, so you're pretty close. You went to middle school with Daniel. Was he a pretty good dude in school? Did he seem like an okay person?
Oh, he was a great guy. Like, I would never say anything bad about him.
Okay.
Yes, he might have had a cigarette of marijuana or two, but through high school and middle school, like, he was.
Did he wear that same shirt? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No,
it seems like
obviously not.
He wears
he
wears that shirt a lot in all the interviews. So I'm thinking, does he own another shirt?
Oh yeah, maybe that's just a thing he likes to do.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking. He didn't wear that in junior high school because it's been a minute. Have you ever met Malaya?
I've never met Malaya.
Okay. What do you think about her? Taking off from the house and lawyering up?
Well, the one thing about her leaving the house immediately kind of gave me a shocker. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing that was very concerning for everybody, because she lives in her family lives in a small community called Truro. It's about a 35 minute drive away from here. And then she went back to her family. And I know Daniel has a young kid with her as well. And then she just left.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I can't figure that one out either.
It's just, I don't want to throw her under the rug, but at the same time, Daniel did get a polygraph test and be like, I have no idea what happened. And he's a very trusting fella.
Okay.
As far as I know. So.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right. Well, look, hey, I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Am I live or am I going to be live?
You're live right now. Everybody's listening to you. There's 1,100 people listening to you right now on YouTube.
Oh, 1100. Oh, that's good. Didn't know I was here.
Yeah, you're live. You're live with us. So we appreciate
Okay.
the information and sharing. If you think of something else, just let us know.
As far as I know, there's nothing that I can figure out right now. Like I said, I don't live too
Did
far
you
away.
ever
and I
meet?
know
Did you ever meet his brother?
his brother,
Yeah.
Justin?
I mean, I don't.
Yeah, Justin.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I have met Justin before. And he's a great guy. I like Justin. He's a phenomenal guy. I don't have anything against him. As far as I know, he lives on the property. But
Well,
other than that,
I'm hearing rumors that he doesn't live on the property. Some rumors say he does. Some rumors say he don't. So
he doesn't. He only goes there temporarily. He lives. I'm trying to remember where he lives right now. He lives near up by Mount Tom. He doesn't even live there. Neither does the mother. The mother doesn't even live in the back shed.
Well, that's what people are saying, that she lives in that camper that's behind the house.
She hasn't been there. She's not there. That's what I've been told.
Well, I mean, on his last news interview, he said he's there by himself. So, but at one point, I guess she was there, but right now, I guess she's not. She left for some reason.
Oh, maybe she left for a certain reason, but as far as I know, neither of them lived in that back shed.
Oh, so I've been hearing different. I heard the brother lived down the road a ways, that he has two brothers. One has a couple kids and the other one don't. And that the mother was living in the trailer, but she gave the trailer to Daniel and Malaya, and she was living in the back.
Okay.
That's what I heard. I mean, I'm not local. You may have heard something different than me, but I'm just telling you what I've heard in the situation.
Exactly.
Because right now it's a lot of new rumors and speculation. So
it's a lot of rumors and speculation. Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll end the call now. If you want to call me back, I can give you some more news or.
Okay. All right. Well, you be good.
News.
I'll talk to you.
No.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Peace.
No.
All right. So there you go. Local from Nova Scotia. And he was from same right area code. So he is there. Said he knew him from middle school and he was a good guy. Now I've heard people say that about Daniel, that he's a good guy. Now, I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical of the dude because listen, kids don't just vanish. And if Malaya had something to do with it, he knew about it. And I feel like Daniel's covering for Malaya because no mom would do what she's doing. I just don't feel like they would. And I think when we hear his interviews, he's more concerned about Malaya not hurting her feelings or making her mad than he is about the kids. He seems like he's brokenhearted, not over that the kids are gone, but that his girl's gone. And we look at Malaya prior to Daniel, she looked pretty, not that she's ugly now, but she looked a lot prettier pre-Daniel. Then after Daniel, I ain't saying she took a hard left, but she started to swerve a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And she, in the early pictures of her, she looked happy, but I mean, what can I expect her to look like right now? She has, a missing kid and a lot of stuff going on as far as the trauma of all that. I don't expect her to come out and look like a fucking supermodel, but it looks like she's been having a hard time the last couple years. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Dolly. What? Okay, goodbye. I didn't want to talk to you anyway. Drugs aged her. I don't know. I mean, we look at pictures of her a couple years ago. She looked real pretty. Some people say they filters, makeup. Who knows, right? I'm just saying she looked pretty good and healthy, and the kids looked happy. Everything looked great in the pictures. But pictures don't show what happens when them pictures are not being taken. Right? We don't know how good her life is or how bad everything is for her. But she's acting strange. Dolly.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm watching you on the TV at the same time. This is weird. Sorry, I'm a new subscriber and I've been really loving your channel. I'm from Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, hey, how's it going? You gotta turn me down in the background though. We'll echo.
Yeah,
really
yeah, I turned off my TV.
Okay.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, my name is Sueda. Yeah, I live in Toronto. And I've been really following this case. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, well, don't worry.
I did this on a whim.
I'm a real chill person to talk to, so no need to be nervous. We're cool.
Okay.
We're good people. We're good people.
Amazing. But something stuck out to me that you said about Daniel and his brother kind of knowing the woods really well. I'm just thinking to myself, like, with all the search efforts and stuff going on, like, how could it be that they could potentially like hide bodies and things like that, and that not have been discovered yet? It just doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, like, I'm a nice guy and I'm not a serial killer or nothing, but if I was, I think I could hide to where people wouldn't find you.
Really, with all those people looking?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, if you know the area good, areas that you're familiar with, especially if you grew up around those areas or you've been around them areas your whole life, you know them better than anybody do, and like I live in a wooded area and I know these woods probably better than anybody. So if I was going to hide something, I would be, good. I mean, I don't live near a big, if it was bigger, it'd be easier to hide, but I do live in a wooded area but I ain't a serial killer, and I wouldn't hide nobody, but I'm just saying I know the woods really well. I know all the paths. I know where they go. I've seen plenty of places that would make good hiding spots if I had something to hide. I just don't got nothing to hide. But I think they're really familiar with them woods, and they've been out deep into those woods. They've said it multiple times that he went running through the woods, that he would go off to the cabins into the woods, and I understand there's a lot of hikers and there's a lot of shacks for hikers to get warm there. And if it's big and like a kid is like a needle in a haystack, you really don't have to hide them, but so far if you bury them, I mean, they could be 3 feet from the house. If they're underground, you'd walk right over them and not know, So
yes, exactly. Well said. And the other thing I was gonna say, because I could talk, this is wow. I'm very happy I called. Thank you so much again for this. There's 2 other things I wanted to point out. Some days I wake up and like I just feel like Daniel is his name. Is innocent, like just from watching the interviews, like just something in my intuition just tells me sometimes that he may actually be innocent. I don't know, just something in my conscience just gives me that feeling, but then other times I'm like, it's really, really hard to tell. And the other thing with, like, I work with women and people who, have abused substances. I myself have had that history, and there is like a big stigma around like how we sort of view people kind of living the way that they're living. When you see the trailer and just like the circumstances around the house, there's a lot of stuff going on. But to me, it's like, why would, and these are just my own thoughts, but why would Malaya go to that extent where, something could have actually happened to these kids in the hands of these parents or other people, when there are actually like so many resources that, they could have potentially utilized to get the kids help if she couldn't, support them in the way that she wanted to, as a mom. Like there's, it wouldn't even have to be CPS. I just feel like there are, access to resources for people in these kinds of situations. And it would be unfortunate if like we wake up tomorrow and they might be guilty of something like this. I don't know.
I think, Alan, my experience of dealing with missing kids and different cases that I find common with a lot of women that hurt their kids is there's a disconnect. Do you have kids?
No. Okay. Maybe one day, but
maybe one day. Yeah, I find that a lot of these women, like I dealt with Leilani Simon, a girl from Savannah, Georgia, that murdered her baby and threw her in the dumpster. And I was speaking with Leilani personally, and in every story I got about Leilani and the kids, there was a disconnect. Like she had multiple kids, but she liked 2 of them, but didn't like the one child, Quentin, and she ended up and then throwing him in a dumpster. Now, the reason I think she did it was that she didn't like his father. And when she seen this child, it reminded her of the father, and she took that out on the child. Now, we know that she has a baby Meadow with Daniel, but these other two kids are with another man. Now, if there's some resentment for that man, there's the possibility that you could take it out on them children, because even my daughter, I have a daughter, when I look at her, she looks like her mom. I see her mom in her. I see some of her mama qualities. Now, I don't hate her mom, but I'm saying people see that in their children. When you look at your child, you will see your significant other in that child along with your qualities. You know, like I see me in my daughter too, but I do see her mother. Now, if I hated her mother, is that enough for me to take it out on my daughter? See, I don't have that disconnect, but some of these people do. And I believe if the state, did you see the text message that came out from the Canadian channel that said they were from Daniel?
The ones that were about Malaya, parenting and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw some of it.
Okay. So to me, Daniel was painting a picture as there's some type of disconnect between Malaya and the kids. So that would make sense to why she would possibly hurt her kids. That's why I'm trying to tie it all together. Is these women that do these things, somewhere down the line, there's a disconnect from the kids. And where they should be connected and bonded as a family, they're not. Because the messages said, you know, Daniel said, well, I did everything for the kids. The kids came to me for everything. You know, I potty trained them. And he was saying, if it was him, allegedly, the messages were from him, then that would explain that there is a disconnect between this woman and her kids. That's why she's fled and she's lawyered up and she's not out there looking, because she don't have that bond with her children that is natural for most parents.
Exactly. Very well said.
Yeah, and that's my experience.
Totally agree.
Over the last 4 years of dealing with missing people and parents of, you know, I don't know any other YouTubers that sat around and dealt with as many baby killers as I have, or families that have been lost a loved one from kidnapping or abduction than me, right? So, but that's what I've taken from the 4 years is these women have some type of disconnect, and I'll never understand it, but I'm trying to figure it out.
You know, the other thing, I also, hearing you talk, is familicide, I think is the right word for it. But, you know, there's been like a high uptick of that here, even just in like Ontario. So you hear stories about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, it's big. It's people are constantly throwing their babies in the trash. Some women just, they don't have that natural connection, or they suffer from postpartum depression, which as a man, I don't completely understand, but I know there's chemical imbalances in the brain that take place when women have babies. So, I mean, depression, and maybe they don't know how to reach out for help, or they get overwhelmed, because I believe any woman that has 3 small kids, that could easily overwhelm even the best person. It's a lot on a human being. And when you need help, you should reach out for it. And some women just don't know how to do that too. So there could be all kinds of reasons. And I mean, I'm not ruling out that the kids could have ran away or they were kidnapped, but I just don't think they were. And I think that if Malaya was there and Daniel were there, they both know what happened. You know,
man,
because Daniel, according to Daniel, he was awake. It's Malaya.
No, nothing they said makes sense. Like, it's just, I don't know what to think. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's a mystery. I think that's why so many people are intrigued by it. And I think that's why there's 1,100 people in the room right now trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But we've done many a poll here, and most people here think the mom and dad have something to do with it.
Man.
Well,
Dolly, thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem. You be good. Stay safe. Nice meeting you.
Too.
Peace.
You as well. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way I think I can explain it to that young lady right there is, you know, that connection is done at birth. Like when I first seen my daughter, right, and I first held her, that feeling is unexplainable. I don't even know how to explain the feeling. The first time I held Tiffany and I was sitting in the hospital, it's something super overwhelming, and it gives you this instant, I gotta take care of this child kind of vibe. I gotta grow up right now kind of thing. I was young, 25, but I was, still raising hell at 25. But from that point, things change. It's instinctual to protect your child at all costs. And if it's not, there's some type of disconnect, right? Because, what did they say? Mama bear, mother bear. You don't never mess with a mother bear around her cubs because her ass will kill you, because it's instinctual to protect your children, to be there for your kids. And when you ain't, something's wrong. That is a huge red flag, because just nature itself is to be the protector. As a man, as a mother, there's mothers that will take a bullet for their kids. Okay. I would jump right. Somebody wouldn't shoot my daughter. I'd jump right in front of the gun. Like, that would give their life for their children. Somebody said, look, it's either you or your daughter. I'm going to go, well, go ahead and take me. Yeah, I've had a good life. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to let you kill my daughter. If I had to pick, take me. It's, like, I don't have that disconnect. I look at my child as a part of me. It's no different than my arm. She's part of me, right? That's a little bit of me there, right? So I wouldn't want to hurt me, and I want whatever part of me is in her to have its best life it humanly can, just like I want to have the best life I can, right? So that is what my energy,
I only follow people with crime-com booths.
You only follow people with crime-com booths. Well, you better unfollow me then. I'm too controversial, okay? They have no love for Dolly. I don't get it. I don't, in this, there's people out here that support cop killers, baby killers, accuse the wrong people of crimes they didn't commit. And I don't do those things, right? And I'm too controversial for CrimeCon. I don't understand that. They won't even give me a chance, right? Won't even give me a chance. It sucks. It makes me mad to think about it, because I've worked hard these years, right? And I think I'm just as good of a true crime person as anybody out here, if not better. Okay. But I can't sit at a booth with my peers, right? Like, I'm the red-headed stepchild of true crime. Where's the kid's real dad? Apparently he ain't a real dad. Okay. So when you say the real dad, let me tell you this, a real dad is there for their kids. Where's the fake dad? He's with his mama. Okay. He ain't there for his kids. A real father's going to be there for their kids. So he may be the biological father, is I think the word that you're looking for. Okay. The biological father, but real father, I don't think these kids had a real father. Just my opinion. You may argue that if you want, but there's more to being a father than knocking a chick up. Okay. So it's like a superpower. It comes with great responsibilities, and it don't never end. You think you only got my kid's grown. She's still my baby. I still deal with my kid every day. She costs me more money now than she did when she was 5. Okay. Because everything she wants now is expensive. Right. So that never ends. You're not a father from a little bit of time in your life. You're a father forever. Okay. Your whole life, I'll be that little girl's dad my whole entire life. So them responsibilities, you start off a caregiver. Now I'm her bank. I'm her psychiatrist. I give her advice. You know what I'm saying? So those things never quit. Like, any real parent's going to tell you, like, you're a parent forever. Like it, like even when my daughter says, I'm grown, I ain't got to listen to you. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. You don't. But I ain't got to give you money either. You know what I'm saying? Go, don't listen to me. I'll cut your ass off. Right. Be like, nope. Every time you ask for something, no, I'm broke. I ain't got it, So yeah, don't listen to me, right? And you ask to be defending for yourself, right? So you better listen. That's the moral of that story, right? So, but listen, usually what happens in the dark comes to light. I'm a strong believer in that. But in this situation, when these kids go missing in the middle of nowhere like this, I just feel like, sometimes things don't get solved. They don't. There's too many places. And if somebody don't see you, they don't. I think what it is criminals have too many rights these days. You can't hit them with a phone book. You can't shake them. You gotta be nice to all these monsters. And it's hard to get information like that. It's just hard to get information when they ain't talking or they're lawyering up. Hard to get a house under 400K. I'm just catching up on some of the chat. Thank you. Had a pacemaker put in. All right. Well, I hope you're okay. Dolly's exactly right. Well, I'm probably right about some things, Now, did they sell the kids? I mean, I don't know. I do know trafficking is a real deal. It's an epidemic around the world. I still just don't know where you go sell a kid at, though, And a lot of people like drug debts. Okay, so not only do you owe the drug dealer money, but they're going to take your kid and take care of it? No. If that would be the case, somebody may come hurt your kids. But I don't think a drug dealer is going to try to get an abduction charge because you owe them money. Okay? You don't pay somebody's debt, you break some limbs. You don't go grab their kids because then you got to take care of the kids or you got to hurt the kids. Now you're looking at being owed money and a murder charge. And I just don't think any drug dealer is going. I ain't going to say no drug dealer, but I don't think the average drug dealer, somebody just peddling a little bit of Colombian Bam Bam or something like that, is going to go take your kids. Like, oh, hell, I ain't even babysitting your kids. Most likely taking them. You know what I'm saying? If you call me up and said, Dolly, will you babysit for me? I'm going to be like, hell no. Okay? So to go snatching kids, unless you're going to hurt them, don't make a lot of sense. Yes, I'm looking for a house, and they are about $387,000 where I live. Man, houses are expensive. The cost of living is crazy. Dolly.
Hello. What's going on?
Hey, who's this? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Nova Scotia.
What's up, Nova Scotia?
I think there's a lot of shit happened here.
All right, let's hear it. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm related to the kids that are missing.
Okay. How are you related?
And I know I'm Patty, the great-grandmother's my first cousin.
Okay.
Clay is my second cousin.
Okay.
And our family's been pretty close over the years.
All right.
And I know Daniel personally, and I know his family personally, so I'm sort of in the middle of everything.
Okay, well, good. Then you're probably a good person to talk to, so we can get a vibe of who these people are.
Well, there's something seriously wrong, man. And I looked into this. My cousins called me, and from Truro. I'm about 40 miles away from Truro, where their great-grandmother lives. I'm about 20 minutes from Lansdowne.
Okay.
And anyway, I looked into this quite a little bit. I've sort of been around here all my life.
Okay. Okay. I can understand.
And I know a lot of people. Anyway, I think it's about time the Mounties. They've been dropping the ball pretty bad, if you ask me, because I mean it's been 6 weeks and these goddamn kids still haven't been found. And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not biased towards my family or Daniel's side. But if somebody's responsible in my family for this disappearance of these kids and the treatment of these kids, I believe they should be fried like a goddamn egg.
Fried like
family or not?
Yeah, I can understand that. Do you think these kids ran away into the woods?
No, I don't. No. No. The number one reason I don't think the kids ran away into the woods is because the dogs were there. They had a couple dogs there just roughly after dinner hour. And I mean, these kids are small, and I know the property and that out there. And dogs are very efficient. I've had a little experience with dogs in my younger years. And if those dogs, I said when those kids were gone, if those dogs never picked those kids up within 45 minutes, there was trouble. Those dogs had from about 12:30, 1 o'clock right through to almost dark that evening. It hadn't rained out there. People say it rained. It hadn't rained out there until just barely before dark, and it never rained heavy at that. So those dogs had hours to
pick up a trail.
Yeah, sure. And I knew as soon as the dogs never picked those kids up quickly that they weren't in the woods. At least that's my guess, my theory. Everything's alleged because, like you said, there's nobody talking in this goddamn thing.
Yeah, definitely nobody saying anything.
Well, I think the Mounties are dropping the ball here big time after 6 weeks. I think the Mounties should open up and tell the public everything they know, because there's a lot of people in the public around here that know a lot of things. And that way there, I think the information could be coordinated, and I think it could be pieced together.
Yeah. So if you don't think they ran off into the woods, do you think there's a chance of somebody kidnap these kids?
Very small. Very small.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would say I think the chances are very small too.
I personally talked to Daniel.
And
Daniel told me what he thinks happened.
Can you share? Can you share?
Well, not that part of it. Not that I can't share that part of it openly. But he knows a lot more than he's opening up with.
I think so too. I agree with you there. I think he knows more than he's saying also.
Well, I know that. I know that I'm 99% sure of that, and I'm sure Malaya knows a lot more than Daniel even knows.
So let me ask you this: since you've talked to Daniel and your family with Malaya, what is your theory? What do you think possibly could have happened?
Well, there's a couple things possibly could have happened. Let me ask you a couple questions.
All right, go ahead, shoot.
Why would the two kids? They tried to get the kids' native status 3 or 4 times before they went missing. Why would the kids be given native status the day they went missing, but yet they refused to give Meadow native status yet?
That I don't know, because a lot of people, believe it or not, here on my channel believe that the kids may be on one of these reservations somewhere. But my problem with that is, why would she hide kids that are not Daniel's? Why would you hide those kids? If you were going to hide a kid, and say if you were scared of Daniel, you would hide Meadow, not Jack and Lily, because he's not the father of Jack and Lily.
Well, Malaya wanted out. I know this for a fact. And this, but I'll say, when I say something's a fact, I have very good grounds to say it's a fact, because I won't say a bunch of shit. I won't conjecture. And by the way, I don't like some of the clickbait, some of the stuff you guys put up on your screens just to attract people. A lot of it's an error. A lot of it's wrong. I find you not one of the worst at that. I'll tell you the truth. I find you not the worst at that. There's a lot of other ones.
There's some bad ones out there. I'm guilty of clickbaiting a little bit, but not terribly.
I know you are, but you should cut that out and you'd have a better news show as far as I'm concerned. I sort of like watching you. I like your attitude on a lot of things, but that clickbait thing is really bad, man.
Yeah. Well, I do it to spread awareness, because I believe the more people that know about this and hear about it, especially with it not getting much coverage. Now, if a case had a lot of coverage, you don't really got to clickbait it, because there's a lot of people interested in it. But to get people interested in it, I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, if the good outweighs the bad, then I believe it's okay. And I think I see some of the clickbait that are like really bad, And I try to look at the good at it as at least it spread awareness, because this is not getting the coverage that it should. Like if these two children went missing in the United States, this would be huge, and it's not a big deal in Canada. And I can't.
No, I disagree with that. It's a pretty big deal down here. Everybody in through our communities, like I'm a little older guy, and I hang around Tim Hortons with the boys in a couple different towns.
Well, I'm talking media-wise. I'm not talking about the concern of the general public.
No, you're right there. You're right there. Yeah, media-wise, it's not covered hardly at all.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I say I'm tired. The RCMP aren't getting anywhere in 6 weeks. Why don't they open up whatever information they have? Why don't they open it up? And like you just said, then make everybody. That'll even make more people aware of what's going on.
Yeah, because
and get it opened up. I think the whole community. I think the whole damn province has got to find these kids, and I think the kids are still alive myself.
I mean, if they're not going to rule out kidnapping, then people need to know that these kids are out there to keep an eye out for these kids. Unless you're just completely ruling out that the possibility there could be kidnapping, then it might not need as much media coverage. But right now, you can't completely rule out kidnapping. Then it should be blowing up in the media, and it's not. And like I said, in the United States, they're not covering Jack and Lily at all. Nothing. If it wasn't for YouTube, there would be no coverage in the United States for Jack and Lily. And
I agree. And the important ones in this are the goddamn kids. Nobody else. I don't care if they put pressure on people illegally or not. The important ones are those two kids.
Yes.
And
I agree.
And like you said, one thing I agree. Well, here's why I called you right quick. I've been watching you for a little while and a few other ones. When you said some criminals have too much protection, and I don't think that's the case generally, but in this case, I think it's warranted that some people have some serious pressure put on them.
Yes.
To talk, because I don't think people should not be allowed to talk in this situation.
Yeah, it worries me. It worries me when people don't seem as concerned as they should be, or even when people are overly concerned. Like
that's right. Everybody's talking about Malaya and Daniel and horseshit, and I don't hear too many people directly talking about Jack and Lily anymore.
Yeah,
and it's almost like they're being bypassed, and to me, it kind of makes me sick. Those are two beautiful little kids, and they're. I got to watch what I say, because I don't want to say something that's. There's some things I can't say, because my family on Malaya's side still talks to me some about the facts of this, because I think I'm coming a little too close to something, to tell you the truth, because my cousins talk to me from that side of the family a lot, and they even asked me to look into it a little bit, because I know everybody around here.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into it, and the more of the picture I got what was going on, the more they didn't like it. So now they've sort of shut down on me, and I don't want to say too much, because you never know when one of my cousins is going to drop a dime.
Well, you're in a situation where if you're wrong, you're making family members mad, and
That's right. And I'm almost prepared to make a few family members mad, because I'm getting prepared to be direct with them, because I don't like the way they're reacting. I don't like there's members of my family that should be screaming about those kids that aren't.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say that, and that's one of my biggest concerns with Malaya is you would think she'd be screaming from the rooftops, but yet nothing.
No. Well, and there's a couple of things too. I want to might as well straighten out, just little factual things that might help you and your viewers look at things a little different. Yeah, Daniel. Everybody's saying Daniel only works 1 day a week, but that's the mill that he works at. That they have shut down. The road has closures down here a couple times a year, and the mill shuts down. And sometimes the mill shuts down because they have lack of product. So most of the time, I would say at least half to 3/4 of the year, he's working full time at that mill. My son worked at that mill with him. That's how I got to know Daniel originally.
Yeah.
And my son and him got to be friends. And Daniel to me has always been a very, very mild mannered, very respectable young fella. I've never had a problem with Daniel. And I told Daniel himself, I said, Daniel, if you've had anything to do, I just don't believe you've had anything to do with the disappearance of these kids. But I told him, if you have, I'll be the first one to really want to see you severely punished.
Yeah.
And he broke down and cried right in front of me and swore he never. And then he told me some facts, or he told me what he believed. And then I cross-checked some of the stuff he said to me, and I don't think he was lying to me. And then I've talked to him on the phone a little bit, and there was some funny circumstances around when he came into my place there, and we had our talk. It was kind of funny. The people that were with him made me very curious, and I pieced some stuff together out of that I.
Well, let me ask you this: how was their relationship, Daniel and Malaya's? Did they have a rocky relationship? Did they have a good relationship? Was there any signs of abuse in their relationship? Have you known them to do drugs? Just the basics, so people have a concept.
No, I don't know Daniel to know. I don't know Daniel to do any heavy drugs. I think Daniel. Matter of fact, I know Daniel had a few. He's a little bit of a beer drinker, a little bit of a soft liquor drinker. And I think, he smokes a little weed now and then.
Okay. That's not terrible.
As far as heavy drugs, no.
Okay.
No, I don't know that in his history at all.
What about their relationship, how they got along? How did Daniel and Malaya get along before all this?
All right, I'll tell you this for a fact, and this is a fact. 2 weeks before the kids disappeared, Malaya wanted out of there.
Uh-huh.
She was calling members of the family and wanting to get out of there.
Okay.
Wanting to leave.
So something was going on.
They were the mystery cousin you were talking to for a while there, Logan. I know her well too.
Uh-huh.
And they were having some financial difficulties, as a lot of people do around here, which was putting more pressure on them. And then Malaya, they had the new baby Meadow and stuff like that. So I think they had some financial pressure and that going on, and Daniel has been laid down. The reason they work 1 day a week is to keep their employees for when they're, they get unemployment plus their 1 day a week usually.
Yeah. I can understand that.
He was still, yeah. So it's not that he was a bum or anything like that. Daniel always did work, and it's a rough job he worked at too. So I got to give him credit on that.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, he was always respectful with me and around my place. And initially, I didn't believe Daniel had anything to do with this. Nothing.
Uh-huh.
But he knows more. He knows more than he's telling. He's protecting Malaya, and
I thought that too, because he sounds brokenhearted, like a sad guy.
Oh yeah, he's just. Listen, did you ever see a young fella, or did you ever see even old fellas? Did you ever see a fella so in love with a woman that it was just one of the most important things in life to some guys?
Yeah.
Well, that's the way he is. Malaya was everything to him.
Yeah, because it's more about upsetting Malaya. He don't seem like he cares too much about what people are saying about him, but it does bother him to hear people say things about Malaya.
Yeah. And by the way, the lawyer that Malaya's got, and this is about 80%, I'm pretty sure this is fact, the lawyer that Malaya's got is the chief on the reservation. It's the chief's brother on the reservation.
Uh-huh.
He's a native lawyer. And Malaya never, they issued her the lawyer.
Yeah. Is that common? Is that common with some?
Yeah, you're going, well, I want to make sure if I'm being heard that I'm telling the truth and being accurate. I think I know what happened to the kids. I pieced a lot of information together from both sides, and I talked to a lot of people I know. And I think the kids, they never went into the woods, that's for sure. And I think they were, at least for a while. I hope they still are. I think they were for a while. Another little fact here. I'll tell you another little fact. Now that I've told you that Malaya wanted out of there, but anyway, you know, Malaya and Daniel practically lived together at my cousin's place for quite a while, over a year and a half before they moved to the trailer in Truro. They lived in Truro before they moved to the trailer in Lansdowne. Daniel would commute from there to the mill job. So you know, it wasn't, they just never, they were together quite a while before that too, like before they went to Lansdowne. Whether that makes any difference or not. Yeah, I think they've lived in the trailer for almost 3 years. And I think they were together a year and a half or two before that. But anyway, that's maybe not that long, but anyway, what listen, I'd like to see the public to put a lot of pressure on the Mounties to open up, because they don't seem to be getting anywhere. And I mean, I've talked to some of them around here, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they're all that competent. I mean, we've had missing people around here. Jesus Christ, we just had a woman missing, an Alzheimer's patient, and people were seeing her around the community here, and they found her car and everything where she walked out of her car, and that was a year ago, and they never found her yet. Ah, Jesus, I don't think they could find their own boots to tie them themselves, but I think there's a lot of incompetent people in the Mounties. But anyway, well, I don't know. I'd like to see you push the public to push the Mounties to open it up. Put some pressure on.
Okay, people were saying they couldn't hear me. I was muted. You could hear me. They just couldn't hear me out there. So everybody should hear me now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what the internet has done, is put a little bit of pressure on them. And that's why they gave the releases that they have, because usually most Canadians that call in say they don't never usually release nothing in Canada. Not until it's over.
They're not releasing anything now for weeks, and they just seem like a bunch of amateurs, if you ask me. I'm sick of it. I mean, they don't seem to be. I mean, these are two little goddamn kids. What's the deal? Let's get things rolling. Yeah. Let's get some pressure going. Let's get some fires lit. Jesus Christ! I mean, I have a couple things I'm going to try to do to get more information, and I'm going to offend some of my family members is what I'm going to do, but I really don't give a shit.
Yeah, well, definitely hit me back and let me know how all that goes, you know, and I appreciate you sharing the information you have shared with us.
Well, I think that's about all I can share. There's a couple little interesting, probably some more, but
yeah. Well, just stay tuned, and as you know, we're going to cover this case, and we usually stick with cases till the end, till there's some resolve in it. I've been talking about a little girl you see on the screen for 4 years, you know, and we ain't giving up on her. Yeah. We don't. There ain't no quitting us. We want answers, and we want justice. You know,
what are we the big money we're paying these cops for? What are they accomplishing other than goddamn traffic tickets and bullshit? And I mean, when it comes to something important like this, the first thing they do is put an ad in the paper seeking the public's help. Jesus Christ, come on, boy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, they say it takes a village to raise a kid. It also takes a village to find a child.
That's what I think. And the second day I started saying that the second day I started saying they should let the public. There was thousands of people around here in the community wanting to go search for those kids. Mm-hmm. They should have let the public roll right in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just.
I mean, there is some dangers in that, you know what I'm saying? But if what they need to do is put the public in groups with professional searchers, and that way, if somebody goes out there, because there's a chance, you you get out there and get hurt, and now they're looking for you. You know, that's where it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, well, there's the destroying evidence bullshit too, but I mean, there's people hunting and fishing and everything else all through the woods here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
and there's people here all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't go along with that. And as far as people getting hurt, well, we're adults. If we go in the woods looking for a goddamn kid and we get hurt, we're at it. We made that decision ourselves. we don't have to be responsible for somebody else worrying about whether you.
I've done it. You know, I used to go out in the woods and search by myself, and a lot of, especially in Tennessee, which ain't just, you know, kind of similar to Nova Scotia. It's wooded, mountains, rough terrain, and people be like,
"Oh, I was down in Carolina, and I loved it. I'd love to go to Tennessee. My woman would love to go to Tennessee."
Yeah, and people are like, "Look, man, we know you're doing the right thing." Locals, especially, like, "Look, we know you're doing the right thing. You got a big heart." But the last thing we want to do is be out there looking for you. So if you do go into woods, make sure you always have somebody with you. Somebody always knows where you're at. You have a radio on you.
If they'd let people in the woods, there would have been people with us. There would have been thousands there.
Yeah.
But the whole place. Listen, this whole province wants those kids
found. And yeah.
Everybody's talking about it privately. Like you said, I don't understand why they're just not hammering it on the news all the time. And I just don't get it. They're letting it slip away, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, and that
can't be allowed.
See, that's the one good thing about the internet. Like, if enough people talk about it, the media starts to get interested in it, and hopefully that will occur here. And like, look, the young man Sebastian Rogers, it took a lot for him to get national attention. But once the internet, everybody ran with it crazily on the internet, then America's Most Wanted picked it up. Court TV was talking about it, Banfield, Nancy Grace, but it took a lot of the internet to blow it up big enough for media to be interested in it, right? And then once they realized there's some ratings in it and views, and because, you know, media is all revenue from commercials. So once they realize, hey, well, people will watch this, we can run commercials, we make money off this, then more the mainstream media picks it up, you know? So, and that's my hope in this, that mainstream sees it, sees YouTubers, and sees that there is an interest in it, and they grab it and they run with it.
That's my hope in calling you. I want more people to pick this up. I want more people to be telling the truth about it. What do you think about the report about the hairdresser in Plattsburgh, New York?
I'm not familiar with it.
Hairdresser in Plattsburgh, New York, had two ladies come in, an older lady and a younger lady come in with two kids to get their hair cut. The lady had been watching this, the hairdresser had been watching this coverage of this, and she swears up and down that it was Jack and Lily. And when she confronted the woman, she was cutting Lily's hair, or if it was Lily, she was cutting her hair. And as soon as the hairdresser confronted her about it, she grabbed the two kids and took off. The two of them grabbed the two kids and took off.
Wow.
Now, she said she reported that to the state police, and I don't know whether the state police ever reported that to the Mounties or not, but she was pretty convincing.
In New York, huh? So
yeah, in Plattsburgh.
Is that upstate New York? Is that near like the border area?
I don't know. I don't know that area at all. Like I say, I'm a Nova Scotia backwoods guy myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been all upstate New York, but I'm not familiar with that area.
But now I've had other people around here tell me just rumors, and okay, I'll tell you another fact. Now, this is a fact from somebody that was right at the site when this was going on.
Okay.
Was when Malaya's mother landed, she also had her mother, Patty, that's my first cousin, with her. And they had a native psychic with them. A native girl who was supposed to be a psychic. And this sounds crazy, but this is supposedly true. And I was told this by the witness that was there, by a couple witnesses actually that was there. And the psychic said the kids were in bed in New Brunswick. Tucked in bed in New Brunswick. Imagine that now.
So they're following the advice of psychics.
Well, not really. This was a personal friend of Malaya's.
The psychic was a personal friend.
Yes. Now, why would they bring her? That's the first contact that Malaya and Cindy and Patty and the Mounties had. Like that was just shortly after the kids were reported missing. That was only.
So they already had a psychic ready. On standby.
An hour after the Mounties were there.
Yeah, that's like a psychic on standby. Like that's a little strange.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something else strange, and this is true too. how did Malaya's mother? Malaya called her mother, Cindy. How did Cindy get there 16 minutes after Malaya called her when Malaya's mother, Cindy, lives in Wentworth?
So that means she was in the area to get there so fast. Allegedly.
Yeah, well, that's 99%. And I'll tell you where, well, no, I won't tell you where that information come from, but it came from two people that were right there.
Uh-huh.
Daniel's mother was there. This Daniel's cousin was there, the one that was going to take Meadow.
Yeah.
And
do you know, let me ask you this, do you know what they were fighting about that day outside of the house? Was it all just pointing fingers at each other?
no, it wasn't all just pointing fingers at each other. It was mainly Logan, Daniel's cousin, Logan.
Uh-huh.
Your mystery, the cousin that you were looking for a while, and she is truly his cousin.
Uh-huh.
It was actually Logan and Malaya's mother that were fighting.
Okay. And I mean, were they fighting over the children being missing, or they were fighting over something unrelated to the children?
They were supposedly fighting over. Should I say that? They were supposedly fighting over Daniel's position in it all.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like there's pieces we're missing that, people just ain't, when you say people are fighting, it's like they gave no context of what the fight was over. Logan just said it was her and her mother and Daniel's mother, but she gave no context to what the fighting was about. And
Daniel's mother came out when Logan and Cindy were screaming at each other.
uh-huh.
And Daniel's mother put a stop to it by ordering them off the property, because Daniel's mother did, at least at that time, live in the camper out back.
Uh-huh.
And you're right, Daniel's mother gave Daniel and Malaya the trailer to live in. They needed a place to live after they left Patty's in Truro, and she moved into the camper to allow them a place to live in the trailer.
Yeah, that's a good mom. I mean, you give it to a family when you don't need that much room. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty decent of her to do. Yeah, I just there's there are probably still pieces to this puzzle that even both of us are still missing, and
listen, if there was no pieces of the puzzle missing, we'd have those kids.
Absolutely, but every piece we put in place is one piece closer we get to figuring out what is going on. And
that's why I want the public to say everything they know, because every little, and I want the Mounties say they gotta, these guys gotta start. They're not being concerned enough. You can't let these kids be gone for 6 weeks. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I looked at things where they dropped the ball when they went into recovering video footage. Like they waited weeks to get these trail cameras and these video cameras from the surrounding area, and I'm thinking, well, man, y'all should have did that on day one. Y'all.
And don't forget Lansdowne Station, Glengarry Station, where they got most of the videos from that lady there. It's 5 miles away as the crow flies. It's 8.5 kilometers away from their driveway.
Yeah, I know. 18-minute ride.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about these rural areas. There ain't going to be anybody that sees much. I mean,
not much proof. Nope.
Yeah, if somebody don't talk, you really, you ain't going to get much in areas like this. And this is why we find the same problems here in the States in these rural areas like Tennessee. If nobody talks, these cases are never solved. And there ain't enough to make an arrest. I mean, they can make an arrest, but there ain't enough to get a conviction.
No, this is what I don't understand. I don't understand if there's certain people in this case not talking, but there's other charges they could be laid on these people to put pressure on.
That's what I said.
Mean, it's obvious. It's obviously neglect. If they lost track of the kids, it's obviously neglect.
Yes.
So I mean, they could start. I think they could start there. And I mean, I know it's playing a little dirty. If Daniel's innocent or Malaya's innocent or somebody else is innocent, I know that's playing a little dirty. But play dirty to get these kids is what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you got to, yeah, I agree. I agree that when the good outweighs the bad, that's when it's acceptable. That's
who gives a shit if some people are offended. Big thrill. I mean, we get offended every day.
Yeah, there's worse things that could offend you, I think. And then fighting for fighting for justice for kids. Even if we wrongly put somebody in jail for a minute, that's wrong. It's for the benefit of good. And
definitely, and get these kids.
Yeah, as long as we don't put away the wrong person, right? If we arrest the wrong person, you'll eventually get out. No harm, no foul. Yeah. But it's in the good of finding answers for children that don't have a voice to speak for themselves. So
don't have any protection. Like these two kids don't seem to have anybody really fighting for them now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue to fight. And, if something comes up and there's any more information that you can share with us, you're welcome to call in anytime.
All right. Good, man. Spread it around.
All right. You be good. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
All right. Peace. Okay. So now you take that call for however truthful you want to take it, and the other neighbor that called, both of those numbers were area codes from Nova Scotia. Okay. So, and you Canadians got that way y'all talk. I can just tell you from Canada, right? I can tell you from Canada, but we know that something was going on in this house. And according to that caller, which says he's a family member of Malaya went out. Now, all this, when people call in, there's really no way to vet the calls, guys. There's no way for me to go track down and see if he's really a family member or not. Okay. But he seemed like an honest guy, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, maybe he is a family member. And it wasn't nothing really in there that was a lot of speculation. He didn't go into a lot of stuff. He just said, hey, that he's always known Daniel to be a good guy. That Daniel, I even said this, that, he's only working 1 day a week, but when the work picks up, he probably works full time. Even I've said that. There's jobs that are like that. When work gets slow, you don't work as much, right? And when work picks up, you work all the time. It's just the way it is. Now, far as the relationship, we knew something was going on prior to these kids missing. I said it before. There's no perfect home, right? When everybody's talking about shit is so great, that is the biggest red flag to me. Okay. Nothing's perfect, right? Nobody gets along 100% of the time, especially couples. They're going to fight a little bit. You're going to argue about something. Normal people do, right? Now, do you get to the point of where you want to leave each other? Not most of the time. If you're getting to that point, then the arguments are escalating. Like somebody's not letting it go, and of course, every couple, if you've been married out here for 20, 30, you're going to argue a little bit, but you love each other and you'll get past those arguments. If you're trying to bail out, something more is going on than a basic argument. Okay. What we had for dinner ain't making you want to pack up and leave. It ain't. It's something more than that. And listen, having all these kids at a young age, financial stresses, life itself is pretty damn stressful. All right. Let me make sure the phone lines are still open. Let me refresh them. We've had some good calls tonight, and I like it when a lot of people from the area the child went missing call in, because you get a different perspective of, what we think here in America, especially the people close. And you hear this, even family members or people that say allegedly family members and allegedly people that are in the area of Daniel and Malaya, we're getting the same thing. They believe there's something else. Dolly.
Hi, honey.
Hey.
This is Allie. I'm from Tennessee.
Hey,
hey,
Allie.
Southern. But I have epilepsy and I've had a few seizures. I don't know if it's made any sense or not.
But I was really like refreshed by hearing from him. I wondered if you know what nation she is.
What nation she's from?
Yeah, I may have to mute you, but I've lost my dog's buried. She does things like this. She takes my moccasins and hairbrush or whatever if I'm not right there, and so I can't find. I'm on Roku, so how do I mute you in the background?
You just turn your TV off or cut the TV all the way down.
Okay, hang on. Bear with me.
Yeah. Yeah, she's Tennessee. Somebody said I can't understand her. You got to speak Tennessee, okay? I've gotten good at speaking Tennessee because I've spent a lot of time in Tennessee. I'm getting better at speaking Canadian too, right? So, I'm from the South. So, but Tennessee is a little bit different slang than the deep South, just a little bit, but you kind of get used to it. I mean, everybody talks different all around the world. So, I mean, did she turn herself all the way down? You still there with us? Okay, hopefully we didn't lose her. I told her to turn the TV down. She might be done hung up the phone. She has epilepsy. She said, yeah, I heard her say that. Stop that, Dolly. Thanks, Dripping. You learned me something. Wow. Okay, we'll see if she comes back. She's still connected. So hopefully she's in good health and nothing happened to her on the way to turn the TV down. Blink twice if you need paramedics. I'm kidding, guys. Let's see if she's still connected. She's still connected. It's still running. So maybe she'll be back or whatever. Tennessee, you go missing in Tennessee, you vanish, okay? A lot of people vanish in Tennessee. We got Holly Snap. We got Layla Santinella. We got Summerwells. We got Sebastian Rogers. I mean, I can go on and on about all the missing people in these hills and these hollers. And that's the bad thing about these rural areas. Just like I told the family member, alleged family member, Malaya, in these rural areas, you go missing, it's hard to find people. They ain't like the city. You check the dumpsters, they ain't in the dumpsters, they good to go. You got all them woods and different things and caves and coverts and crevices and wells and mine shafts. It's a lot harder to find people. Dolly, do you know about the Navy girl that was found murdered there in Norfolk? Yes, believe it or not, which I'm proud because my kid, you see her jumping in the room every now and then. She's getting more and more into true crime. I can just tell because she's hitting me up like quick, she knew when they found the body before it was even on the news, right? They found her in the area my daughter lives in. And she's like, the naval people out there, it has to be the Navy girl. Why do they got a crime scene with the Navy out there? And I was like, you're probably right. It is the girl. But yeah, she went missing from her barracks here at Norfolk Naval Station. And somebody did something bad to this girl. And she was found near Norfolk State University. So my daughter hit me up and said, yeah, the police are out there and the military police are out there. And we believe it's the girl. And before it hit the news, sure enough, it was her. And tragedy, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hang up on this caller because I think we lost her. Hopefully she's okay. But yeah, they found a young lady deceased in a little tiny thin wooded area. And it looks like it's foul play. Okay. Dolly.
Hey, Mr. Dolly, how's it going?
It's going.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
My name is Chris. I'm calling from Northern California.
What's up, Chris? How you doing tonight, brother?
Doing all good, man. Yeah, it's very interesting, man. I've been looking into the whole missing persons thing. There's so much to talk about, but the other individual, the gentleman from Nova Scotia, it would have been great for him to speak more about what he knew. I think a lot of. I mean, I understand it's a difficult situation. You know, if the individual said who he said he was, I understand he doesn't want to offend certain of his family members. But you know, at the end of the day, it's for the children. You know, I care about them.
Yeah.
You know, with the innocent people. I'm not necessarily a good person, but I've never wished anything bad upon, you know, the children. And there's so many all across America that have been missing. And it's the more I think about it, man, I don't know. I've gone down the rabbit hole even in a lot of cases, and it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know part of the incompetence, right? I understand that's part of how you see incompetence everywhere, so that doesn't necessarily bother me. But at least part of the puzzle that I can think of that makes sense to me in my mind, that there has to be some sort of collusion, man. It just doesn't make sense. Somewhere along the line, somebody knows something, possible government, you know, involvement. Who knows? Because it just doesn't make sense how they go on about even the searches. You know,
I mean, as a
because, for
whole,
example,
like if we look at missing
yeah,
kids as a whole, there's thousands and thousands of kids that are not accounted for, and
yeah,
that I would say there's there's some corruption inside. You know, we go into the conspiracy realm of it, of these elite or
yeah,
these rich people. What are they doing with these missing kids? Now we know a certain amount of kids are going to naturally go missing, but we're
right,
way past that. I mean, way past it, especially when we get into immigrant children, people coming to this country
right,
undocumented, and these kids going missing, and there's nowhere to be found. Where are these kids going? Right?
right,
Like, and we know more and more that comes out, like of these Epsteins and your P Diddy's and these people that are exploiting children are some of the most rich, powerful people in the country that are doing this. You know, that's when it gets scary to even talk about, because you don't want to say something and come up missing. You know what I'm saying? You mention the
no,
wrong
for sure,
name, and next thing you know, I ain't on YouTube anymore. I'm gone. People are searching for me. Like, it's that bad.
right.
Like, there's people involved in terrible things at the highest levels. And that's where it gets scary. Even when I talk about it, sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to like be just speculating on some shit. And next thing you know, I'm on Hillary's missing list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. But even just looking at the facts, some of the cases, like sometimes you can't even find. And I'm talking about, I've looked at a couple hundred of cases. Even when they can't find the fingerprints, or they can't find footprints, or you know, cadaver dogs, or they get like all those details. It just doesn't make any sense. What is going on? It's just something. You know, I don't know. And I even heard some of the cases out here when I was first looking at the situation up here by I'm in Northern California, right? But close to the Bay Area, and in the, like, for example, the Point Reyes case. I remember hearing about this individual. I used to work over there, and I was basically making a lot of deliveries over there in that area. And I'm pretty much where I was born. I was born in like a high population area, so I never got used to the woods. And the first couple of times I was out there, I don't know, you just feel it's like an odd, like there's two places, right, that stuck out to me even in my mind, like that particular place, and then Mount Diablo. You get just a weird vibe. I just don't know what it is. It's something. It's odd, man. It's hard to explain. But me as an outsider coming into an area like that, like I said, the first time I saw the place, you know, first of all, I was like, oh man, it's a gorgeous place. But then you get in certain pockets of those areas where you're just like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, you know, there's something weird about it.
yeah, I mean, the most beautiful places are the places you could go missing. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ever find you. That's the thing about, you know, being in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful, but it's also the people there know how to get rid of your ass too. You know, so
yeah. And that's what I say. In my mind, it leads a little something to do with government collusion, because it makes sense if you're out there and nobody can hear you, nobody can see, nobody sees nothing. It's the perfect place to pick people up and do whatever you want with them. You know, aside from individuals that were either older, younger, doesn't necessarily matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's what I've been thinking about. It's just so many, it's so much things to keep in mind, and a lot of the details don't make sense in my mind, especially when it comes to that.
Well,
but like I said,
it's
yeah,
global
go ahead.
though. It's even global. Like at the level you're talking about of kids going missing, this is a global epidemic. This is not just a United States problem. This is Canada, Europe, South America. There's kids going missing from all over the world. And somebody, and it's $1 billion industry. So somebody is running that industry. There's people that are in power that are doing these things. And what they're doing this for, it blows my mind. But I think right now in the time we live in, more people are being abducted and kidnapped and vanishing than ever in the history of my life.
Yeah.
So even as a grown man, I'm like, oh shit, I hope somebody don't kidnap me. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking around when I'm going to the car. I'm like, who the fuck? You never know. I mean, everybody's going missing. Hide your wives, your husband, your kids, everybody going missing.
Yeah, at least take the necessary precautions, at least have some sort of way. If you can own a firearm, I guess that would help. And then having some sort of GPS tracker on you, just don't tell anybody. I think a lot of the times, at this point in time, us as people that are outside of this particular phenomenon, I would at least encourage certain people, certain individuals to do, for example, if you know about something and let's say you going about your way, you go to the woods in whatever way you choose to be, right? Don't tell people that you have these certain things. Just having them as a precaution. Just don't tell anybody, because I think that's part of the key. For example, like what I've noticed in certain searches, there's a lot of details that only go out to, like as the other gentleman spoke about in the Nova Scotia, where there's certain details that are kept in there. I think us as outsiders, we kind of have to keep certain details to ourselves and just take the necessary precautions for ourselves, because it has to be something like that. Either somebody's out, because it makes sense to me, right? If there's some sort of collusion, and if I have government assets with me and government officials, and then I hear about it, obviously there's a lot of people that participate that are good, well-meaning people, and it makes sense to me that they're like, all right, damn, these guys know this, all right, so let's change this, or let's, there's a guy reporting back to. It has to be something like that, man. It can't just be. I mean, I'm open-minded. I'm all for the theories. I heard just about every single theory, whether it's abductions and et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
so I keep an open mind. I don't criticize anybody. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. We don't know everything about everything. We're still learning as a species. We're continuously pushing forward. Things that we thought were impossible are now possible. So
if we was offline and I wasn't online, I could go into some deep dark holes of conspiracy with you. But since I'm online and I want to stay alive, I just say, hey, yeah, you got to be aware of your surroundings, and we're learning more and more about people every day. That's what I'm going to leave it at. But hey, I appreciate you calling, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you. Appreciate you too, man. But one last thing, what I was going to mention about a friend of mine. I don't know if one time we were talking, and he's not necessarily a country person either, but he even talked to me about it a couple of years ago, that he had an experience where he was out doing a job out in the middle of nowhere in Northern California, past Shasta County, and he described a particular detail which I thought was interesting. I mean, nothing ever happened to him, but he said at one point in time he was they were arresting by the truck, and in a small, like a rural area, and he said that he couldn't hear anything, like it just went mute. So that always stuck out to me. I was just like, this is a guy, not related to this. He's not interested in this thing whatsoever, but he experienced something similar. And I was wondering, what the hell was that about? It sticks out to me because he's not a person that's invested in any sort of way, but he just described that particular thing, that 1 second he heard everything, and then I don't know
he
where
couldn't hear nothing.
Yeah, he couldn't hear anything. And he just like felt weird about it. He was just like, man, what the fuck? What's going on? It's creepy. But yeah, I'll let you go, man. Appreciate it. Good show. I'll be tuning in.
All right, peace.
Yeah, peace, man.
Listen. Let me keep that shut. I used to do like a conspiracy hour, okay, where I can go down some deep dark. He could hear for 1 minute, couldn't hear directed energy weapons and different things, right? And you can go down these deep dark conspiracy rabbit holes, okay, of what really is happening. Now we talk about missing kids, but then there's another level of missing kids, And I ain't talking about a couple missing kids. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of missing kids. Now, I don't dive deep into a lot of these conspiracies because some of them scare me. Right? You think there's people that don't go missing in our country that know a little bit too much? Listen, let me tell you this. The only people that ever get assassinated are people that have voices of power. Okay? The stronger your voice, the more likely you are to be assassinated. Every great speaker we have ever had in the history of my life, and before me, and probably after me, have been assassinated for having a voice. Okay? There's one thing you don't want to be, is the person that everybody listens to. It gets scary. We're learning, right? We're learning now that some of these people that are really powerful in our world are not good people. Okay? I ain't gonna name none. Okay? I ain't gonna name none, but it's true. Okay? There's some scary things that happen. And I'm interested in those things. Like I said, behind the scenes, I would probably talk to that dude for 3 straight hours, play video games with him. And me and Smoke right here, Vape Genius, we've talked all kind of conspiracy stuff playing video games. But as far as live, I don't mess with that, because you may be thinking something and you may be thinking something that's right. And then they go, well, how did this person know? And next thing you know, you on that list, right? So I want to be an idiot in this world, because anybody, like I said, with a voice has been assassinated, right? From your Martin Luther Kings to your John F. Kennedys, you can't have a voice in this world, right? The more powerful it gets, the more your life is in danger. And that's scary, right? Because, I'm in a thing where I want a voice, but there's certain things that I choose not to talk about. And it ain't because I think they're stupid. I think they're scary. Like, and some people get a little too far into the conspiracy and they start to believe everything. Like, I'll give you a prime example. And I don't want to turn this into a conspiracy hour. I watched the Oklahoma documentary on the Oklahoma City bombing yesterday. Okay. Now, for everybody that knows, there are certain events that are chained together through history. Waco, Oklahoma City building, Ruby Ridge, and all these things, these government things. And still to this day, the ripples from the effects of these events happening are still taking place in the world today. As a grown man, I watched Waco as a kid burn down. I'm still seeing the effects of what happened at Waco, Texas today, right? And you look at people like Alex Jones and certain people, these people were, at that point as a kid, these people were propped up. And things were going on to make them not trust certain people. Now, I don't believe the government's out to get me. I don't. I truly don't think that. And because I'm a nobody. You know what I'm saying? So they ain't worried about nobodies. But I can see where some of these people got to be extreme, right? And even extremer to these days, as far as conspiracy people, you have your 9/11s, inside jobs type things. Y'all seen that. People believe that the Twin Towers wasn't taken down by terrorists, that it was inside to hide government embezzled money. So there's people out here that, not me, right? Like I watch it as entertainment. I'm not anti-government or anything like that. I watch it just to see how come people act as extreme as they do, right? Because we have, like, you'll never hear me say anything about the tragedy at Sandy Hook. Poor, rest in peace to all them people, right? But these people, I can see where some of them believe it, especially when you have people feeding you information and it's not the most accurate information, and then you start to believe things. Like people believe Karen Reed's innocent. It's the same thing. It's you drink the Kool-Aid, man. Listen, you can sip it, but don't take a full swallow of it, right? Don't take a full swallow of it. But, you know, in person, if you ever wanted to talk conspiracy, I'll sit around all day with you and talk conspiracy. But as far as on YouTube, there's a level of it here that I'll dabble into, but never go too far. Never go full crazy into the conspiracy, right? Like even UFOs. I'll dabble a little bit in UFO, but I'll never go full aliens or abducting people. Okay. I don't do that. And I think, is there bad people in this world? Yeah. And are there good people in this world? Yeah. And the good has to outweigh the bad. Okay. And I'm from an era of don't trust anybody. And then you're good to go. If you don't trust nobody, nothing, you know, you can't get nothing pulled over on you. But definitely know your history on things, you know, and I'm going to say this: 2 wrongs never make a right, because, you know, the documentary, the new one that's on Netflix, what, you know, when he was executed in 2001? Was it 91? I think it was 91. I can't remember. But hurting people in this world is never right, no matter what. Right? It's never okay to hurt anybody, especially people that ain't never done nothing to you. 2 wrongs in this world never make something right. Okay? Man, I got some rabbit holes I could show you. I love. Oh, I know you do, Smoke Genius. And like I said, you know, I enjoy a good conspiracy show on YouTube. I enjoy a good UFO show on YouTube, but never let that take full control of everything. And to me, there's things more important. Okay, like these missing kids that we're talking about tonight. You know, they need a voice, and the voiceless definitely need a voice, and somebody has to be out here standing up for them. I wish there was more people, you know, that stood up for these missing kids and put up a good fight. No matter, like I told the callers, like sometimes, you know, covering these cases to bring awareness to you, I have to bait you in a little bit to be able to tell you the story. But to me, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. If the good outweighs the bad, okay, then it's acceptable, right? Because I may be buttering the bread a little bit to get you in, but to get you here, I'm going to give you the message that you need to hear. And that's the good, okay? And it's about these kids. So now, if I clickbaited you on something that had nothing to do with none of that, then I would say, okay, that's fucking bad. That's like, you know, say I say the videos about a missing person, and then you get here and it's about how to cook hot dogs or something, you know, something totally different out of the realm. Then I would say, well, you got clickbaited. But if you're coming in to hear something about missing kids and you get here and it's about missing kids, that ain't so much clickbait. That's just leaving a little curiosity in the thumbnail to make you wonder what people are talking about, right? And if you leave people, you know, curiosity killed the cat, okay? So you make people a little curious, they're going to watch, okay? That's just the way it works. We ain't getting all it. We're not going to go full conspiracy discovering the truth, okay? We're not going full conspiracy here. Just little tiny bits. And listen, there's great conspiracy channels out there on YouTube. I'm not one of them, okay? I watch some of the stuff. I just don't like to speak on it, and I like my life, and I don't want to mess with people, and you know, I just want answers for the kids that their parents did something to, right? I ain't the dude to fight the other battle. There's different warriors for different things in this world, and I know my spot. Okay, like The Rock says, know your role. All right, don't make the wrong people mad. It's just the way it is. Jimmy said, "Don't kill me, deep state." Right? I ain't say that. They love me, right? They don't kill idiots, right? That they just don't. That's why I always say I'm an idiot. I'm like, I'm trying to stay alive out here, right? But anyway, guys, look, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. It's almost 2:00 in the morning here. I've been here with y'all for 2.5 hours. Y'all be good. And we'll go more over this case, especially Jack and Lily. But we don't want to leave out Sebastian. He hasn't been forgotten. That's important because a lot of people have abandoned this kid, right? And of course, Summerwells. You know, without Summer, I wouldn't be here. So the fight continues for Summer. We ain't forgetting Sebastian, and we need justice for Jack and Lily. That's the message I want to leave you with tonight. And I'll be here tomorrow for, you know, just to hang out. Today, there was like 400, 500 people in the room, which was kind of cool. It was kind of chill. I could read the chat and talk to everybody. And not a lot of people interested in Karen Reed stuff. But I want to be here for John O'Keefe, you know, and somebody has to stand up for that man since everybody else is pretty much a Karen Reed supporter. But I'll be here for Verdict Watch tomorrow with you guys. So if y'all want to come by and hang out with me and just chop it up a little bit, stop by, okay? Even if you don't agree with me about the Karen Reed stuff, I don't think many people do, but still come hang out. It'd be good to see you, all right? And I will catch you guys in the morning. Remember this, if nobody else loves you, Dolly does. Peace.